Her trembling hand shifting the papers told more than words ever could. The courtroom was electric with tension the moment the judge arrived. He barely glanced at the crowded courtroom before clearing his throat and saying, "We continue hearings today with additional evidence submitted by the plaintiff, financial statements, written letters, and previously excluded private recordings." Robin gripped the tissue in her lap, knuckles white. Cameras lingered outside, hawks waiting for the next bombshell. Christine had done her prep work. Unspoken, she glided towards them and pulled out Exhibit G, a USB drive. Quiet. Then the courtroom screen flickered to life and a voice boomed through the room. "We tell them it's for property tax," Cody's voice rang out, firm and commanding. "But the balance goes into Robin's account. That way it's safe." Robin gasped, her eyes wide with horror. Seconds later, her own voice echoed, "Are you sure they won't discover it?" The room fell silent. The brow of the judge furrowed. "Cut the tape," he ordered. The sound evaporated, but the weight of what had been heard lingered in the room. He turned to Robin, his tone firm but precise. "Mrs. Brown, do you have any explanation of this conversation before we proceed?" Robin stuttered, fighting her sunglasses. I don't recall this. It doesn't sound personal, relevant." But the judge's words broke through. "This court doesn't like theatrics. It likes truth. Put aside games." The gallery rustled in concurrence. Robin's years of deflected blame had served her well before, but not today. Exhibit G had pulled them in on her. Her act, once successful, now dangled like a sour note, unwelcome and obvious. The judge leaned forward. "Mrs. Brown, if you can't provide us with transparency on your role in this exercise of financial decisions, the court will be forced to view this tape as evidence of an educated collusion." Robin's mouth fell open, but nothing came out. Cody's jaw locked, but for once he didn't interrupt. His silence wasn't protective, it was floating away. Christine's lawyer stood, placing a leather folder on the desk. "Your Honour, we respectfully ask to proceed with a document review of Robin Brown's role in the 2018 Coyote Pass restructuring." Inside were colour-coded statements, wire transfers, and emails marked with account numbers and timestamps. Christine slipped another under the projector silently. Disbursement Memo, Phase 2. It revealed an $82,000 payment from the family trust to an LLC in Robin's birth name, money used as the down payment on a Flagstaff house. The eyes of the judge grew suspicious. "Was this verified?" Christine nodded. "Yes, Your Honour. Compared to IRS returns, Robin received the transfer. We have the digital certificate." Robin broke in, frantic. "But I thought the money was approved already. I wouldn't have signed otherwise." The judge's pen struck the bench. "So you didn't realize the authorization memo only had one spousal approval, Cody Brown's not two?" Robin stuttered. I just signed what he gave me." Christine's voice cut like glass. "Exactly." The judge instructed the clerk to put the memo into evidence as Exhibit H. Christine sat back down, cool, firm, unshaken. The evidence now shouted louder than any tear Robin might ever shed. Then came Janelle. She testified not with emotion, but with exhaustion. Years of silence and self-doubt etched on her face, she carried manila folders threadbare at the edges but damning inside. "Your Honour, these are property maps and payment records for Coyote Pass from 2016 to 2020. She didn't have to shout. The truth did that. She laid out the documents before the judge, package after package, each one revealing a trail of lies. The fifth package, the pièce de résistance, was the only one to be paid for in full. Not shared, not split, only in the name of Robin. Janelle's voice broke with weariness, not anger. "We all gave up, but Robin made hers publicly. When I questioned Cody, he told me Robin had good credit, that it was only for a while, that we'd all fare well in the end. That was 6 years ago." The gallery shifted uneasily. Rumours had circulated for years, but now they were confronted with proof. "Did you ask him outright?" the judge asked. "Yes," asserted Janelle firmly, "but every time it was a test of loyalty. He'd accuse me of not trusting him. He'd say that Christine was poisoning my mind. He believed Robin was the only one who shared the vision." Christine and Janelle exchanged a look for a split second, a glance of mutual comprehension. Janelle went on, "When I looked up the parcel registry, I discovered the fifth lot had been purchased by a private LLC, Pass Forward Holdings, listed under Robin's name." The judge's eyebrows shot up. The courtroom, once restless, was now still. The storm had shifted, and Robin's defences, for the first time, were not just crumbling. They were shattered. "Did you ever consent to a transfer of ownership?" the judge inquired. "No," Janelle replied firmly. "None of us did." All eyes turned to Robin. Her tissue damp and crumpled in her hand. She coughed weakly. "It wasn't mine. I thought we were preserving the land." But the judge's gaze did not waver. "And yet, Mrs. Brown, you were its owner." That single sentence fell like a gavel that had already fallen. This was no longer property. This was evidence. And Christine and Janelle were just beginning. Robin's tears, which had been her strongest weapon, now appeared shallow in the harsh light of notarized documents and payment vouchers. The judge signaled to the clerk to go ahead and number exhibits. Then Christine rose with quiet dignity and walked to a large easel covered with a black cloth. "Your Honour," she said calmly, "with your permission, I'd like to show a visual representation of our trust contributions over the past 7 years." The judge nodded, and with a swift pull, Christine unveiled not just numbers, but a portrait of imbalance. The chart was straightforward, but horrifying. Combined, Janelle and Mary had withdrawn nearly 30% of the trust, Robin less than 10%, but in bold red, Robin's withdrawals consumed more than 60% of the funds. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Christine stood firm. "Each time I would ask about this, I was told to be grateful, that it was temporary, that Cody was dealing with all of this and Robin was just assisting." She took out a second chart representing car ownership, credit usage, household expenditure, and education spending. Between 2017 and 2021, Robin's family had nearly 3 times the allowances of the others. And when Gwen, Christine's daughter, needed tuition money, she was told the fund was depleted. The gallery shifted uncomfortably. Some of Christine's older children were there, Logan, Gwendolyn, even Payden, silently observing. Robin shifted nervously, her lips quivering. The judge cut in irritably. "Mrs. Brown, if you need a recess, the court will grant it. But I am not going to have these hearings interrupted every time the truth embarrasses you." Robin sneered, her self-control slipping. "Do you think it was easy for me? I did not become the favourite. I merely did what I was instructed." Christine grasped her binder and answered quietly, "No, you built a kingdom out of the silence we weren't allowed to disturb." Cody spoke for the first time, quietly, threateningly. "She was the only one who didn't struggle against me. That's why she was given the trust." The judge raised his hand. "So you concede she was treated differently because she obeyed?" Cody's eyes flew to Robin and then to the table. His answer was serious. "It wasn't about obedience. It was about trust." The voice of the judge chilled. "Trust you denied the others." The courtroom fell silent. This wasn't favoritism. It was manipulation under the guise of loyalty. And the court was only just starting to peel the layers back. And then Christine laid out her fat black binder on the witness stand. The atmosphere in the room shifted instantly. What Cody had once mocked as Christine's scrapbook of complaints was now a tool of fact. Every page was dated, color-coded, and notarized. Inside, wire transfers, bounced checks, affidavits, producer emails, and messages the family never dreamed would ever see the light of day in a court of law. Christine flipped over to a laminated sheet. This is a Venmo payment by Cody to Robin's boutique account, December 14th, 2018. It was labeled Christmas gift. How much? $3,400. The judge's head came forward. And did that come from the family account? Christine nodded. Yes, Your Honor, from the Coyote Pass Development Fund. The gallery gasped. This wasn't favoritism anymore. This was theft. She turned over another page. This is a bill from a Flagstaff business that did renovation work. Robin signed it. Brown Family LLC paid $48,200 for it, not Robin. The renovations were performed on her rental property. Even Mary, who didn't usually talk, tensed at the words. Cody moved uncomfortably, the swagger removed from his face. Robin was white, close to skeletal. Christine's words were firm as she set the papers on the table. We were told there wasn't sufficient money for Isabel's surgery. We were told new homes in Coyote Pass could be put off, but Robin's home received a new kitchen, fence, and specialty flooring. Robin gasped haltingly. You have no idea what it's like to be the one everybody dislikes. The judge raised an eyebrow. Spending community-held funds without permission has that consequence. Cody erupted. She needed a safe haven. That home was ruined. Christine's tone did not increase. She merely held up another document. And why to spend $50,000 on chandeliers and a velvet-lined walk-in closet? The courtroom gasped in outrage. Even the bailiff blinked. Christine had placed a contract on the projector. This is a TLC filming contract for season 15. Robin's house was actually redone specifically for taping, signed by Cody Brown and Robin Sullivan Brown. And the profit-sharing clause? She paused. Never honored. For the first time, Cody slumped. His bravado was lost. Robin's eyes scanned, searching for an exit that did not exist. And the worst was yet to come. Robin's tears returned, but the judge's expression was as icy as ever. Mrs. Brown, he stated, you may wipe your eyes, but this court will not wipe the record. Christine sat down calmly, her binder still on the table like a gun loaded and cocked. The front Robin had struggled so hard to establish was collapsing, page by page, receipt by receipt. Then arrived the time of expectation for all. Mr. Cody Brown, come forward, the bailiff said. The room buzzed at once. Dozens of sketch artists sat forward, ready to capture every change of his expression. Cody came in with bluff bravado, puffed chest, locked jaw, but there was a crack in the armor. He swore on the oath, sat down, and glanced over at Robin. She nodded at him with wide eyes, shining tears. But before he could even take a breath, the judge began. Mr. Brown, do you admit you had fiduciary responsibility over the Brown Family LLC account, including community needs funds such as land, medical bills, and family emergencies? Cody swallowed. Yes, Your Honor. Did you authorize a $32,400 payment to Robin Brown's boutique company in December 2018? Cody winced. Yes, but yes or no? The judge cut him off. Did Christine Brown know about this payment? No. Did Janelle? No. Mary? He hesitated, then whispered, no. The quiet was oppressive. Cody's empire wasn't being dismantled by his ex-wives or even by Christine's binder. It was dismantling under his own words. The judge leaned in. Is it true that the same year your daughter Isabel required a $50,000 procedure on her spine, the family was told it couldn't be paid for due to a lack of funds? Cody blinked rapidly. Yes, but... And that the same year, Robin Brown's residence was upgraded 48 to 200? His voice cracked. It was not just that. Answer the question. A silence. Yes. The crowd shifted awkwardly. The judge leaned in. Mr. Brown, explain to me how you distributed family funds. Cody's eyes blazed. I did my best. You have no idea the pressure I was under. Multiple households, always crisis, media blitz. Robin was the only one who didn't resist me. She helped me. She didn't resist. Gasp ran around the room. Janelle shook her head. Mary lowered her eyes. So you financially rewarded Robin because she was compliant in the emotional sense? The judge asked. Cody flashed, "That is not what I said." "It's just what you said," the judge replied. Cody struck the railing with his fist. "My words were taken out of context. They always take them out of context." The judge raised a hand. "This isn't reality TV, Mr. Brown. This is a court of law. In this court, we deal with facts, not with drama." Cody was furious. "I gave my entire life to those women, and now they sit there like I'm the beast." The judge's voice interrupted his rant. "You are not on trial for morality. You are on trial for fiscal impropriety. Your alleged sacrifices, actual or imagined, do not enter into this case." For a moment, Cody seemed to think about getting up and leaving. He trembled as he raised a glass of water to his lips. Robin shook her head wildly at him, mouthing, "Don't lose it." But it was already too late. "I'm not a bad man," Cody snarled, his voice booming. "This court is being deceived by bitterness, by jealousy, by lies." "Order!" the judge bellowed, slamming his gavel. "One more outburst, and you will be held in contempt." Robin looked like she was going to faint. Cody slumped back, shoulders sagging. The judge's words were tart. "You may descend. This court is not a pulpit for self-pity. Keep grandstanding, and I will shut you up." As Cody walked back to his chair, even his final defenders were losing hope. The mask was dropped. No longer the patriarch, no longer the peacemaker, but just a man desperate for control as it crumbled before them. The collapse, though, was not complete. Not yet. Christine's lawyer came over, holding between two fingers delicately a thin silver flash drive as if it were a weapon. "Your Honor," she clipped, "we move to enter into evidence a computer file, Brown Family Gmail Archive 2017-2021, gathered by subpoena from the Compliance Department of Google." The gallery buzzed. Robin flinched. The flash drive plugged into the courtroom projector. The screen sprang to life, crawling through over 1,000 pages of emails between Cody, Robin, financial planners, title agents, even executives at TLC. The judge adjusted his glasses up his nose. "Go ahead." Christine's attorney began reading, email dated February 12, 2019. Subject, RLC ownership structure, request for privacy, from Robin to Cody. "I know the others will be curious why my name would be back on the property again. Perhaps we could add a layer, the maiden name. It will be less suspicious then. You can simply tell them it's for tax purposes." Soft gasps rolled across the courtroom. The judge rapped his gavel once. "Quiet." Cody's teeth clapped together, but the colour drained from Robin's face like stone. "Another," the lawyer continued, stepping onto the next slide. "July 9th, 2020. Robin to Property Management Company. Please send all invoices directly to Cody or myself. Christine is no longer party to planning." Christine wrapped her arms around herself. "I only discovered this when the contractor stopped answering my calls." The lawyer went on. September 2021. Robin to a TLC producer. "We can shoot at our house again. The kitchen's finally finished. I don't believe the others are in a place to produce anything. They're all too emotionally volatile." The gallery winced in shock. This was no longer about money. It was about control. Image, manipulation ran through every part of their lives, and the emails were just beginning. The courtroom chilled with a chillier quiet as the emails poured onto the screen. They were not ordinary messages, they were blueprints for control. In-depth conversation between Cody, Robin, financial advisors, and even between TLC executives revealed something sinister, a scheme to concentrate control into only two names, Cody and Robin, but continue the facade of one big happy family. The judge placed his arms on the stand, looking at Robin. "Do you deny writing these?" he asked. Robin's voice cracked. "I was just trying to keep things in order. Christine was mad. Janelle needed everything explained. It was easier if Cody and I did it." The judge recited her words back to her slowly. Took charge. Did the others ever agree to that? Robin stiffened. Then, almost under her breath, no. Everyone in the room sighed as one. No outcry, no crying, only capitulation. Robin's smile had concealed the doings for years. Now, on the stand, her mask was removed. And then there was Christine standing up. No shock, no anger. Just a calm silence that weighed more heavily in the room than any outburst could. We all trusted Cody, she began. But Robin knew what she was signing, and signed it anyway. The judge's fingers steepled together. This is no longer an issue of favoritism or lack of knowledge, he said. This is about intent. Christine's attorney brought her back in time, to 2020, when Coyote Passland was being divvied up. What was your function at the time? I believed we were all working together, Christine said. But Robin would constantly say again and again decisions were already made, that I had to trust the process. Did you ever see the completed documents? No, Cody and the lawyers had them, and we all paid for them. That term, all of us, rang like the gavel itself. The room at last understood. Christine had unknowingly been paying to have her rights removed. When did you first become aware your name was off the deeds? The lawyer pressed. 6 months after I walked away, Christine gasped. A title clerk asked if I still wanted to be put on notices for Brown Family Development LLC. I said yes, but he said only Cody and Robin were on it. There were gasps in the gallery. Even Robin's lawyer looked down. Did Robin ever say anything about this to you? Christine's voice quivered but never broke. No, she told me it was Cody's decision, that I should pray about it. That hurt worse than anything. Not emotion anymore, evidence now. Paper trails had voices. The lawyer leaned in for the coup de grace. Christine, why come forward now after all? She looked around the room. Because it has to be spoken out loud, not for myself alone, for Janelle, for Mary, for the children, even Robin, because I think she's forgotten what honesty sounds like. The gallery was silent. The judge addressed Robin. Do you have anything to say? Her lips quivered. No tears, only surrender. She's right, Robin whispered, and with that the scales tipped. For the first time, Robin's tears, the linchpin of her defense, did not appear. Instead, silence bellowed louder than any sob would have. The silence was short-lived, however. For when Mary took the stand to testify, the atmosphere changed once more. If Christine's words pierced the heart of the case, Mary was soon to deliver the knockout punch. Your Honour, her lawyer stated, we now present Exhibit B, an authenticated string of emails dated March 14th, 2021, sent from Robin Brown's own personal email account. The gallery gasped as a whole as the screens flickered into life. The first email was simple and heartbreaking. Hi Dana, please delete Christine's name off any future documents. Cody and I both feel it no longer fits with her attitude. The room gasped. Mary spoke to the jury directly. That email was written 3 months before Christine even made the announcement that she was leaving, before she even knew she'd been cut out. The betrayal wasn't impulsive, it had been premeditated. Even Cody cringed, reaching out toward Robin instinctively before pulling his hand back as if scalded. The prosecutor seized the moment. Mary, when you accused Robin of sending this email, what did she say? Mary laughed bitterly. She told me I had the wrong tone. The judge's gavel snapped. Let the record indicate, tone does not change the legal effect of depriving someone of their property rights. He glared at Robin. Explain this. Robin stood, hands trembling, not with sorrow, but with the fact that her entire scheme had just evaporated. I was trying to defend the family, she stuttered. Cody was overwhelmed. He asked me to take care of logistics. But the damage had been done. The judge raised his hand, freezing Robin mid-excuse. That's not what the letter states. And in an instant, her tears no longer had an audience. The gallery, once sympathizing with her cries, now looked at her with a chilly skepticism. This was not financial malpractice anymore. This was emotional fraud. An adultery that does not show in the ledgers, but hurts more than any number. Mary interrupted. I raised it because I knew she'd perjure herself again under oath, and I couldn't live with myself if I let her get away with it. The judge leaned back, his voice low but intense. Enough manipulation. The atmosphere shifted, sympathy dissipated. No more excuses, just betrayal, exposed. When Christine returned to the stand to rebut, the tension in the courtroom had changed. Even Robin's die-hard supporters now leaned forward, no longer with sympathy, but doubt. Christine arrived with the infamous red binder, the binder that Robin had fought so hard to bury. I never believed I'd take this again, Christine said, putting it down on the table in front of her. But since Robin's confession, I have no choice. She opened it to a page labeled Personal Accounts. Inside were handwritten summaries, screenshots, and clock-stamped postings for the past 18 months of her marriage. It was a one-page document that moved the courtroom. June 12, 2021. Robin instructs Cody that he's too soft on Mary and must cut her off from access to land files. Cody smiles and complies. The same week, Mary's login credentials mysteriously failed to work. She thought it was a glitch. It wasn't. The judge's eyebrow arched. In minutes, a subpoena for server logs had been issued. The courtroom was charged with energy. Robin's strategies were being confirmed in the moment. Robin leapt to his feet, refusing to back down now. You don't get it. Cody was coming apart, and I was just holding on to what was left. Christine didn't even flicker an eyelid. You weren't protecting something. You were building an empire you ruled, Cody puppeteered, and the rest of us were disposables. She flipped another page, a $31,000 payment to a private estate planner, signed in Robin's initials, dated just days after Janelle had had the audacity to ask for her share of Coyote Pass. The judge massaged his temples. This is a pattern, he snarled. Then out loud, if true, Robin Brown is not only emotionally manipulative, she is legally culpable. Roughly to his lawyer from the defense table, Cody hissed. Christine heard one sentence. We should have burned the binder. She looked him right in the eye. You should have treated us like wives, not roadblocks. Outside, protesters flooded the courthouse grounds, each of them holding signs. Justice for the OG3 and Robin Lead, we cried. Christine closed the binder with a bang. I kept these records because I didn't think about the importance of memories. Now I do. The judge nodded to the bailiff, who wheeled the binder away as evidence. Thank you, Christine. That will be all. The case had gotten out of hand. Robin's carefully built facade was stripped off. She got up, uninvited, and disintegrated into sobs. Not the scripted wail of a victim, but the uncontrollable shrieks of a confined human being. You don't know what it's been like, she sobbed. I was alone, carrying this family on my back. They left Cody behind. They made me the villain when all I did was try to help. The gavel came down. Mrs. Brown, not a confessional, a courtroom. Sit down and compose yourself. But Robin defied. No, she cried. Christine poisoned this family. Janelle craved power. Mary walked out on Cody years ago before I even arrived. The judge rose to his feet. And when a federal judge rises, the entire courtroom feels something irreversible is happening. Bailiff, he commanded icily, take Mrs. Brown away until she is in control again. As the officers approached, Robin collapsed to her knees, howling, You're letting them destroy me. This is what they've wanted all along. The judge's words cut through the uproar. Let the record state, Mrs. Robin Brown has used fits of anger to delay and distract these proceedings consistently. This court is not concerned with acting. From now on, Robin Brown will be addressed not as a grieving wife, but as a defendant in a conspiracy of financial fraud and family deception. The gallery gasped. Cody stood there, motionless, staring off into space as if watching the walls of his kingdom burn around him. In another corner of the room, Mary and Christine exchanged a look, not one of triumph, but of vindication. Even Janelle was stunned. This was not favoritism or jealousy anymore. This was the law revealing the reek of manipulation masquerading as martyrdom. And out in the world was ablaze with it. Hashtags swept across social media within minutes. Fake tears Robin, justice for Janelle, binder of truth. But if the trial thought that this was the peak, they were wrong, for the next bombshell would transform shock into complete devastation. The mask had finally slipped, and the entire world witnessed it. Robin's tears, her trusty shield, were now renowned for what they actually were, manipulation tools. The judge was not fooled. His words cut through the courtroom like a knife. Tomorrow, we are going to closing arguments, and let me make one thing clear. If either side tries to pull on the heartstrings instead of presenting evidence, I'll call a mistrial and hold someone in contempt. The drama had gotten the case this far, but the play was changing. This was no longer about family. This was about justice. The final day arrived in silence. Even the television helicopters buzzing overhead could not break the tension inside. As Judge Halbert entered, his expression was stoic, but everyone knew the weight that he carried. He had read every statement. He had examined every contract. He had reviewed every email, every affidavit, every chart. He had read the binder. He had even witnessed Robin's meltdown. It was time now. Christine sat up straight, her fingers clenched tightly around a chain that once supported her wedding ring. Janelle slid in beside her attorney, her expression firm but unshakable. Mary, no longer hesitant, leaned in, waiting for the outcome. The courtroom was filled to capacity, but everyone's gaze was on Robin. No longer the object of pity, she was tiny and quiet, mascara smudged, tears spent into stillness. By her side, Cody stood hollow, the fire of pride doused, a man seated and observing his own empire crumble. There was firmness in the judge's voice, but it shook like thunder. This court has seen overwhelming proof of obfuscation, manipulation, and concealment of community family resources. What has come to light is not mere mismanagement, but a pattern of using emotion as an instrument to shift responsibility. Gasps circulated in the room. Robin's mouth hung open, yet nothing came out. This is not a courthouse of tears, the judge thundered. This is a courthouse of truth. Mrs. Robin Brown diverted family income into private accounts. She did so while presenting herself as the victim, exercising emotional pressure and intimidating anyone who was against her. Mr. Cody Brown enabled this fraud by utilizing his religious and legal authority to legitimate it. Together, they defied the law and the rules of equity. Christine's lips trembled and then smiled the thinnest of smiles. Janelle blinked rapidly, holding back tears of relief. Mary's face split open, not with grief, but with freedom. The judge's ruling came down with a thud. All personal accounts in Robin Alice Brown's name will be frozen pending investigation. 1.4 million in assets under dispute will be put into a neutral trust, and custody of all other family property, including Coyote Pass, will be turned over to a court-appointed fiduciary. Then the gavel came down. Court recessed. On the street, journalists screamed into televisions. A landmark ruling. An emotional manipulator brought down. Coyote Pass, not Cody's anymore. Within the courtroom, Christine, Janelle, and Mary did something never before seen. They embraced, freely before all in the courtroom. It wasn't about the money, it was the culmination of decades of favoritism, gaslighting, and lies. The truth concealed for so long under contracts and pretext was now indelibly etched forever on the ledger of law. Robin was escorted out, no longer the dominating force she had once been, but as a defendant who lacked authority. Cody followed behind her, glassy-eyed, looking about the room like a man who had finally seen the destruction that he built with his own two hands. And beyond, outside, there wasn't even a jeer. They stood like statues, shocked, knowing they had just witnessed the collapse of an empire and the renewal of those who had endured it.